What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, with many people getting more and more concerned about Luna Classic's future, I wanted to make a video and just specifically focused on at what point would I start to become more concerned or worried about Luna Classic and exactly how I'm feeling about it right now. I know times are emotional, especially when you see it go down 50% just in the last 6 days, so a lot of people don't know how to handle it, so I'm just going to do my best to give my input, let you guys know how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, and where I think it's going from here. You guys know I have a bit of a neutral biased opinion here. I'm not really super biased in any direction. My whole goal on this channel is to help you guys make gains, whether that's from longing, whether that's from shorting. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to see us all make gains no matter what this market does. But I know many of you are strong supporters of Luna Classic, and so for that reason, I want to give my input and let you guys know what I'm thinking. So let's take a look at the computer here and let's get straight into today's video. Now, one thing we have to understand is that when you zoom out on a broad perspective from, June to July to now, I mean, we are still up substantially. And although this does look bad, right, in the last couple of days, you have to understand that this is just what happens. Whenever you see a run of this nature in which people who were buying at the bottom went up over 1,000% over the course of a couple months in a bear market, or even the people who bought it when it just started going parabolic that went up over 200% in a bear market, are going to take profits. That's simply just what's going to happen. Now, I know also that people tend to ignore history or try to pretend it didn't happen because things have changed for sure. But we have to understand that many people also have a bad taste in their mouth from what happened in May with Luna. So understand this, if you lost a lot of money from Luna, but you decided to go long on Luna Classic because you thought the burn and all that good news was going to affect the price and you made money back or broke even to what you lost, of course you're going to take profits. Of course you're going to start to take money out to rekindle some of those losses that you saw from earlier this year. That is what people do, and that's what they should do. Break even, get some profits out. It's exactly what you should do. So whenever we see a move of this nature, it's not anything to be too concerned about, in my opinion, to say that, oh my God, this means that the end is near and that we're absolutely dying. It's just to say that a lot of people made a lot of money and now it's time for this thing to cool down. Now, not only was that a big cause of why I think we are falling, I do believe it to be what entered into the market as well, which was leverage. Now, one thing you can see here is that KuCoin Futures, which is the only good platform right now that offers futures trading on Luna Classic, has a price impact of over 55%. This means that leverage trading under Luna Classic right now is at a 55% price impact, meaning that the majority of what's moving the price is because of leverage. Now, what's interesting about that is if you look on nomics.com here, we can see that KuCoin Futures is only has about 1/3 of total volume, but over half of the price impact. And that goes to show that even though they're only making up 1/3 of the volume, the leverage trading that is occurring right now is having the majority of the price impact, causing these stronger pushes, not only to the upside, but to the downside as well. And so that's kind of a part of what comes with the crypto of this nature. Many people look at it as a meme coin and things of that, is that whenever they pump, but whenever they dump really hard because we see a lot of leverage enter this market and people trying to make back the money that they lost earlier this year. That is a perfect combination for these more drawn out corrections to the downside. If we look back to what happened right here, think about it. We saw a beautiful pump. We came back to retest this high up here, but ended up eventually crashing back down another 40, 50, 60%, going sideways for over a month before more news came out that sent this thing even more parabolic, okay? The people who were saying Luna Classic is dead right here missed out on hundreds of percentages of gains as it did climb, okay? So it's just always something to consider is that these things happen, they're healthy, they're natural, and especially when you mix in a price impact coming from one specific leverage trading platform, okay? Now, at what point would I start to get more concerned, right? Like, at what point would I look at this and start to say, yeah, there is a means to get worried? Well, I don't think we're there yet, but I think we could be getting pretty close to it. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, that would be at the loss of 22. Okay. Now, generally what happens in crypto, let's just talk about generalities. I can't talk about what's going to happen, but I can talk about what happens in general, is that we will see the price of a crypto start to really make strong pushes to the upside. And as it does that, there will be certain levels of liquidity in which the bulls really stepped in and beat the bears in a battle to continue that push to the upside. Once you start to come back down and lose all of those levels of liquidity, that's the point where you need to start getting a little bit worried because those bulls that stepped in on the way up aren't stepping in on the way down, and that could start to get the idea of some type of pump and dump thing going on, right? And at this given point, although we did lose this original one, it's not really anything to be concerned about. We're still sitting on top of this major level of liquidity, about 22 to 27 cents. Now, again, I know it's not 27 cents. I just don't like saying 0.00027. So you get the point for all you comment section haters. But anyway, so what we can see right now is that as we are on the way down, although we are down about 50%, we are still holding quite well on top of this strong level of liquidity, in which was the last level of liquidity before we did see a strong push back to set a new all-time high. And in my opinion, while we're above this level, while we still have all of this bullish pressure coming from this level, clearly as the price has been getting pushed back to the top side the last couple of days, or at least being held up the last couple of days, it tells me that we are still okay and we are still good to go while we are here. Okay. Now you can also see that we are getting a drive of bullish divergence, as I did mention yesterday, in which we had this low, we're still at the higher low, but then in that same time frame on the RSI, we set the low and the lower low. That's a case of bullish divergence on the daily charts that says that a strong bounce to the upside could occur. Not only that though, the 4-hour divergence is still playing out, in which on the short term, we set this low, lower low, low off the 30 into the higher lows. All of these things tell me that the bulls are stepping in and slowing down this momentum as we are approaching this level. And I think while we are above 22, we're in a great position to continue to see growth at some given point back to the upside. Remember, more often than not, a descending wedge will break to the upside. And so that is just another further thing to say that at some given point, we very possibly could see this type of continuation. And so I'm definitely not all too concerned while we're at least above 22. Now, the last thing that does go into that is if we look at the daily charts on a macro Fibonacci retracement perspective, you can see that if we go from the last low we put in before the big pump right here, all the way to the swing high, this level also matches perfectly with where our 786 Fibonacci level begins. Now remember, generally speaking, a crypto will set a swing low, set a swing high, then retrace back down to the 786 to 618 level, and then use that level as a retracement and then bounce off of it to continue to the top side. It happens all the time in all different cryptos, okay? So considering the fact that we have all that bullish liquidity, all of these bullish indicators on the charts, the 618 to 786 level holding up quite well. As you can see, both times at this point that we've entered it, we've seen a great bounce to the upside, such as what is going on right here, right? These little bounces here. All these things tell me that the bulls are stepping in at this 22 level, and as long as they do continue to do so, I'm really not all too concerned. Now, if we do lose 22, I do believe that would be the point where we really start to visit some of these lower levels like 17 and maybe even down to 13. So I would start to get more concerned at that point, but right now I simply am just not feeling all that much concerned because I think there is a good chance, I'm not going to say a guaranteed chance, but a good chance we do start to go sideways or get some type of bounce and get out of this just straight down shot relatively soon here. Now, in yesterday's video, I told you guys exactly how I would be trading this thing. Remember, I am doing all of my trades over on BitGet. They are splitting 100 million Luna Classic between new users, and that is a great opportunity, as well as the fact that if you do use the referral link down below, you can get up to $4,100 in deposit bonuses, as well as the best trader in my community under my link gets $1,500 every single month. It is a great deal for anyone and a big opportunity, especially in a bear market. So it's not something I would be missing out on, okay? But with that said, make sure you do go check out yesterday's video, as I told you exactly how I would be trading this right now with this descending wedge. But today's video is really just to tell you guys I'm not all too concerned right now. I do believe that it has potential to see a bounce or some sideways movement very soon off of this key level of liquidity. And so for that reason, I'm just going to sit back, watch, see how it happens, and then use what happens as fuel to figure out what I'm going to do next. So make sure you do stay tuned. Make sure you do have notifications on if you did subscribe to the channel, so that once I do figure out the next trades, the next buys, the next shorts, I am going to be able, you'll at least be able to see that before everyone else, okay? Remember, I don't really have a bias here. I don't want to say I don't necessarily care what happens, but my whole goal is, again, how do we make gains? Best case scenario is we make gains with it going to the upside, but even if it does continue to fall, we can be seeing different ways to make gains from shorting and things of that nature to the downside. So with that said, guys, that is going to be about it for today's video. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you can always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace.